Hey everybody.
What's going on? How you doing
Good
today?
evening. Welcome to Go Live with Glow. Have my special co-host, Mr. G Styles here.
Good,
This is
everybody.
the last episode of our month of love. Everybody's here on time. If y'all can hear me, let me know. Does it sound like we hear anything? Not yet, probably, right? Probably right now, yet. So tonight's episode is sponsored by Vent Wine. And we just gonna wait for our guests to join. Hold on a second. Let me see.
That's not right
I know, right?
there.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna just join with Curtis. Hold on. I feel like we should move this back. Hey y'all!
What's up?
Y'all gotta move y'all's back. I can't see Lathanya. There you go. I see it right there. Yeah, I see it right there.
How y'all doing today?
Y'all got your
Good.
little logo in the bag. Y'all got Brooklyn in the bag. What y'all sipping on? Y'all sipping on bent wine? What y'all doing? See, we came prepared too. We got our wine here.
Mm-hmm.
Where is Curtis
Tell
still
them
adjusting?
I'm getting it right. Tell them.
Oh, Curtis is getting us right, getting us set up.
I see. Well, let me introduce you guys while we go ahead and wait for Curtis to come around, because I did have Curtis come on the show before, but I really wanted to meet his lovely, well, I already know his lovely wife, but I want everybody to meet his lovely wife that he spoke about in his interview. So we have Curtis and Latonya Lancaster here with the Lancaster Realty Group in the bag. What's up,
What's
y'all?
going on? How y'all
Y'all
doing?
had y'all little setup, like we tell our little Brooklyn love story. So where are you guys located at right now?
We were like, we are in Atlanta, ATL.
Are y'all okay out there? The COVID
It's open.
vaccine
Yeah, y'all
is
open.
out there.
Y'all
It's in
ain't.
the air. They must be shooting
They
it
still
in the
got the
trees
hookah
out
open.
there.
Yeah, they got everything going.
All-Star
Lounges.
Weekend is there. All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, it's wide open. We're okay though, but we're keeping it low. We're keeping it low key.
That's
Okay,
good.
all
That's
right,
good.
that's
That's
good.
good. Go ahead, babe. What's your
What's going
question?
on?
Go ahead.
So where did you guys meet?
Tell us y'all little Brooklyn love.
Yeah, like how
Tell
does
us y'all
this
Brooklyn love
happen?
story. How did you guys meet?
Look, oh gosh, we always make the joke that we have to figure out something to tell our boys when they get older, because it's a cute story now, but we met when we were like 18. Some mutual friends of ours were dating, and we met up, and we all went to a party in Brooklyn, in Canarsie, I think.
Yep.
And at the end of the night, Curtis was driving, and we all hopped in the car with him. But at the end of the night, Curtis kicked all of us out of his car. So
Met the old Curtis, the Curtis you knew back in Morgan and all of that. That's the Curtis she met originally.
Why you kicked everybody out the car, Curtis?
Yo,
He's on his Martin. He was on his Martin.
Right, like
I
everybody
was
get
like,
out.
yo,
Get
no,
to
he
stepping.
he literally was like, everybody get out the car. And I'm, me.
Now he laughing because he knows he said it.
But
why'd you kick everybody out the car?
I'm like, I'm not getting out the car. You're going to have to drop me off where you picked us up from. And he was like, I'm not playing. Get out. And I'm like, you know what?
and she was the last one in the car. So she was the one that was like, listen, I'm not getting out the car. She giving me all this lip. And I'm like, yo, I don't even know you. Like, get out my car. You too. Get out. But
Bad Brooklyn.
listen, the reason why I did that was I thought all of them were playing a trick on me. It was like early in the morning, and they was like setting off the car alarm. The whole block was going off. They setting off the car alarm. So I'm like, yo, y'all brought my house. Y'all could go home. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
come to find out, my friend at the time, he was the one that was setting off the car alarm when nobody told me that when that was all happening. And I would not have done that.
Kids playing pranks, and he got upset, and we got caught up in it. So I had some choice words for him for kicking us out the car, and I was like, put everybody in cabs. I'm like, that's why I got money. That's all right,
So, the next question was going to be like, what was your first impressions of each other? So what did you think about him? Latanya, what did you think about him?
So
I didn't know that was going to be the story.
at the beginning of the night, I was like, oh, he's cute. He seems like a nice guy. At the end of the night, I was like, yo, who's this chump, right? It's not like a sweet and syrupy story at all. Yeah. So, but I will say, I feel like a few days later, once he found out, you know, what really happened, he did take the opportunity to call everybody and apologize and, you know, say that wasn't him. And I just remember when he called me and he laughs about it to this day. I was like, well, you know, I appreciate you calling, but, you know, that is no way to treat a lady. That's a terrible first impression. We're 18, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But at least you had standards at 18 years old. Not a lot of girls would have even, you know, a lot of the women, grown women that probably wouldn't even have that type of mindset.
That really piqued my interest about her because she was like ahead of her time when we was 18. Like the stuff she was saying, I was like, so on the phone, I'm listening to her and I'm like, who is this girl? Like, what is she talking about? Like, you know, she's well-spoken and like just not your average girl. So I'm like, okay. And we kept speaking over time after that incident. So like we would continue to talk on the phone and like we started to build a friendship over the phone after that. And it kind of
okay.
Yeah.
So it started out rocky and built into friendship. And, you know, I would say I moved back to Atlanta, he was stationed out of Virginia. And so we just kept in touch over the years. He had his relationships, I had mine, and reconnected when we turned 26. So.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So how long have you guys been together now?
So
together and married.
So this year will be 10 years together, and at the end of this year will be 8 years married.
Okay.
Wow. Why you and your homegirls didn't beat Curtis up? I probably would have never spoke to Curtis. If you kicked me out your car, I'm never speaking to you ever again.
I was a
never
goon.
Speak to me. We would have jumped you, Curtis. Like,
That's funny. Here's the funny thing. At our wedding, my best friend, who was my maid of honor, she had the longest speech ever. But why did she include that in the speech at the wedding? She was like, you know, Curtis,
That embarrassing.
You kicked us out your car. Everybody was laughing. So yeah, nobody forgot about that.
yeah, how could you forget something like that? Yo, that is so. But you know what? The thing about it, at least he was able to come back and apologize for it. Other guys would have just been like, "Oh well, it's what it is." So he had like accountability. He apologized for it.
Yes.
We would have jumped you. We wouldn't have been no way to come back from it.
Yeah, I did appreciate that because he didn't know us. He could have just left it how it was. But the fact that he came back and apologized, I thought that was big of him.
That's sweet. That is not the love story I thought I was going to hear today. I thought I was going to hear something real different. When you said that, I was like,
that's a Brooklyn love story, huh?
Yeah, it really was. Very
Right.
That is.
So you guys were like having a long distance relationship. Like you said, you was in Atlanta and he was stationed in Virginia. So like, what are some of the challenges that you guys has faced as like, I guess like an early couple, and then like some of the challenges you faced like in your marriage once you guys got married?
So when we made the decision, as I say, as adults to get together, originally we were long distance for about a year, but I was traveling a lot for work. And at first we would say, okay, we're going to just see each other at a minimum once a month. And then we did that, I think, for 1 month, and that didn't work. So every other week we were just back and forth. He had moved back to New York by then. We were back and forth between New York and Atlanta. And so I say AirTran and Skype, every other week. And in between, we AirTran and Skyped and flew, spent money, and we just made it work.
I would say like it was perfect timing because she had a job where she would travel for work a lot. And then I had the means at the time to just buy tickets like that. Like, I was, single, no kids, no worries. So it was like we were able to see each other like every other week. So it was long distance, but it wasn't like crazy where we wasn't seeing each other for long stretches and stuff. And we would Skype a lot. So it worked for sure.
Y'all telling our age. You said AirTran. AirTran don't even exist no more. And Skype, nobody ain't Skype since. Like, you really just told how old y'all are when you said, yeah, we used to do AirTran and Skype. I'm like, Skype. I totally forgot all about Skype. It's all about Zoom. It's all about Zoom these days. Like, all about the Zoom.
Yeah.
I think AirTran turned into what? Southwest? I think it's Southwest now.
That's right.
But them tickets used to be like $100 round trip to get you to Florida. I used to go to Florida to visit my grandmother for $100. That plane was so small and so scary. Oh God. like the thoughts. Like you just think about where it came from.
Yo.
Look how much we evolved, like as people, as adults. Like these kids would never know what it was like to get in a car with a MapQuest paper and be looking, trying to figure out where
Yeah,
you was at.
or
Like
if you have a printer, you have to write down the directions.
That's a fact.
Different world. A different
you ain't have a printer?
Yeah, you have a printer. You have
No,
to
I
write them
always had a
directions
printer. Dang,
down.
that sound rough.
God,
Not write
We
it down.
got to write them joints down.
No, oh my
That printer,
God.
we had a printer, but it was always breaking. It seemed like it was too cheap or
right.
something. We had to get a new one. Yeah, man. So,
Yeah, good Lord. Like, thank God you got the time, written, handwritten directions.
yeah. So how many you guys have kids? How many kids do you guys have, and how do you juggle work-life balance with the kids?
We have 2 boys, a 4-year-old.
Y'all forgetting about me, but I'm gonna let that slide. Y'all said 2, but y'all know I'm your 3rd child.
Yeah, right.
Adopted, right.
I have an adopted daughter, but no, we have 2 boys, 1 4, 1 9 months. And listen, it's interesting. It's a struggle. We are still learning and growing and stretching and trying to make it work. Look, we had a big old conversation earlier about a big deal, and it's a lot. But we manage. We just fight to communicate. And I say, when we remember that we're on the same team, it's like everything that you can get frustrated about, upset about, it's like, okay, but wait, we on the same team. We on the same team. So once you get that out of the way, it's just communication issues is the biggest thing. But trying to balance everything is a work in progress.
Yeah, I would agree. One was cool. I was like, oh, why everybody be complaining about, like we got 1 kid. Then this next one came along, and it changed the whole.
Yeah.
We trying to find time for ourselves. We like business, this, that, the third. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I hear that. So how was it being pregnant during COVID and having a baby? How was it the process of that, especially the hospital?
Listen, that, I don't, hats off, and my heart is out to all of the ladies that are pregnant now and, have been pregnant throughout this. It was really difficult, and it's crazy. I say I'm grateful that it was not my first pregnancy, because I knew, what it should have been, but it was stressful because at first, I want to say like last March when everything shut down, I'm thinking, he's not going to be able to come with me to the hospital. I'm going to be by myself. Then you have all of these issues with, women of color being pregnant and not getting appropriate care. So I'm scared. I'm worried. So it added a lot of stress on me as, the mommy to be. And then when everything shut down, because we didn't know what was going on, I mean, I didn't even go to the grocery store. So I was on lock. And then it's so funny. We had Lance in May. And then before he was even 3 months, Curtis had to leave for a temporary duty assignment. And then, it's still COVID. It caused a lot of pressure. So we're good, and I'm thankful for our village. I don't know how women or, parents that don't have a lot of support, I don't know how they do it, because if it was not for our village, my in-laws, my mom, my brother, my sister-in-law, it would have been rougher, because it was rough.
I thank God that we had Gray the year before this hit, because I would have been a hot mess. I think I probably would have just had a home birth. I would have had to have a home birth, because my anxiety would have just been too bad, because New York City is definitely a hot spot. And he would not have been able to come in that room at all with me. He would have been outside, or that whole experience. It just, COVID has been I hate to say blessing in disguise, because so many things have been built because of COVID, but COVID has definitely robbed a lot of experiences that I think, like my daughter didn't have her graduation, like my son had his first birthday, like a quarantine kind of way. Like, it's just been a lot, like a lot of stress. Don't you have another question that you were supposed to ask? You were supposed to ask that one.
No, we working.
You don't know what I have in my hand, though. But you don't know what I have. You asked my question that I got over here. See how you ain't even know that?
I did know that.
No, you didn't. You didn't know I had that.
No,
No, we don't, because if it's not a real interview, if you're not gonna be real about it, like I'm gonna be real, like you ain't following directions.
I'm following directions.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So how do you guys solve problems within your relationship?
Communicate probably. That's probably what y'all do
Yo, the
first.
funny thing is, y'all asking that, right? I don't know. A lot of people think that we don't be having problems, like, and I don't know why they think that. Right?
Yeah.
Because we be in here like
Moving the furniture. Moving the furniture, okay?
Yeah.
So normally we just fight and then we make up. Wink, wink.
Okay.
Nah, I'm joking. I mean, I had to learn. I really had to learn the communication piece, I think, because I was just used to being by myself, and she was, by herself, but forced by herself as well. And I ain't really had to explain nothing, talk about my feelings, talk about how I feel. If I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk. And like that's kind of my go-to. If I'm mad, I'm silent. Don't want to talk about it. And for her, that's a trigger for her to be walking around a house with somebody not speaking.
I'm not gonna be uncomfortable in my own house.
Period.
I'm not.
Period.
No, we may need to take a breather, because what do I always say? One of us has to be the bigger person, and sometimes whatever we're arguing about or miscommunicating about, I may not feel like being the bigger person right now, and he may not feel like being the bigger person at that same time. So it's like, okay, but we on the same team, but you're getting on my nerves right now. You're not seeing my point of view. So you take a breather, but you have to just talk about things. And what I will say, thank goodness, in the 10 years that we've been together, our biggest fallouts or arguments is always over
Like
just
little stuff.
Something small, a misunderstanding. You said this and I thought you meant this, but you said this and well, I thought it meant that. And then when we calm down and talk, and then we realize it was like, oh, our joke, and we may not even have enough time tonight. The biggest argument we ever had was over strawberry cake.
Why? What was that argument about? You have to tell us what happened.
So
You gotta tell us what happened.
Wait.
Before you say the story, what do you think strawberry cake is? What does it look like?
Wait, I don't like pop quizzes. What
does the sponge part look like?
See, it's like a trick question.
I think I'm
What
here.
part look like? What color is it?
Is it pink?
Ah.
See, hold on. You're guessing, okay?
Nah, that's true.
I was like, you're not using your brain.
Yeah, you're guessing. So
I was put on the spot.
So the story goes, strawberry cake to me was like a vanilla sponge cake with strawberries in the middle. Strawberry cake to him is pink cake, like pink strawberry cake. So when we were planning the wedding, so I got this whole wedding binder, I'm in planning mode. And so I'm like, we get to, well, what kind of do you want? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, oh, I was thinking, we could do a strawberry cake. He's like, strawberry cake? Why would you want to get a strawberry cake? I mean, have you ever seen me eat strawberry cake? And I'm like, yes, I have seen you eat strawberry cake. Like, I'm not crazy. Big argument.
Yo,
big
argument into something else.
I threw the wedding binder in the trash. Forget this. We not getting married.
Yo, I done left the house, packed up my shit.
I don't know you. I thought I knew you. You telling me you don't like strawberry cake? And guess what? When we calmed down, I want to say it took a few years, because we just let it go. A few years later, we were talking about it, and that would be the running joke. Strawberry cake was like the big joke, in our relationship. So then finally he was like, strawberry cake is pink cake. And I'm like, oh, strawberry cake to me is like vanilla cake with strawberries in the middle. So, big argument. And we're not even talking about the same thing.
Strawberry shortcake. And we from the hood, and he was probably thinking about
the box one.
Box
Yeah,
cake.
he's talking about the box cake. Yeah. But I was with you. That's what I was thinking. The Dunkin' box. That's why I said, I know what you're talking about.
I was like, what you think? You think strawberry cake? I'm like, pink, like strawberry cake in the supermarket.
But I'm like, who eats pink cake? Nobody.
I'm like, yo, you ain't never seen me eating that.
Why would you have a pink cake at the wedding? See, that's the hood. It was the hood in him. He didn't know how to separate wedding cake from Dunkin' Hines box cake. His brain was like, why would we get a pink cake for the wedding? Like, and she was like, oh God.
So listen, that was like, but normally when we sit down and we talk about it, it's usually somebody completely misunderstood something, and then it's like, well, we were really arguing for nothing. So
one of my health seasons, I had to take a health class in night school because I wasn't going to health class in high school. But what happened was he said something like men listen in oranges and women speak in apples. And if you can kind of keep that in mind when you're speaking to, you know what I'm saying, your significant other, you won't be as upset because they listen totally different. They interpret things totally different, like extremely different. And it's just like, okay, you didn't understand what I'm saying. And they be like, no, but I thought you said this. It's always gonna be, I thought you said this, or I thought you said that. My goodness, right? It's always, I thought you said that, right? No?
You right all the time.
He's
So I
like,
don't
No?
even.
Okay.
You right all the time. Hey
Listen,
man,
I'm
you
not here
right.
to lie to nobody. We argue about
You
things that are small,
you right all the time.
things that are small,
Yeah.
things that don't have to be that big. Just me just communicating my feelings about how I feel stuff. Like
Mhm.
for me to express how I feel
yeah.
about something is extremely big because I'm very like, no, I'm all right. I'm okay. So if I want to be like, I feel like if I'm being vulnerable and you're not being receptive to it, it makes me angry. I get really, really
Oh,
angry if I don't feel like my emotions is being handled the right way. Like handle me with care. Like I'm precious cargo. Like, you know,
ooh.
that's how I feel. Like
Wait
I
a
feel
minute.
like I'm precious cargo.
I
Hey
think I
Kurt,
said
man, I was at a family barbecue. My bad. I didn't know what's gonna happen, G.
that. Handle me with a little,
Just
handle
a
me
little
with
bit of
care.
care. Like I feel like men are just
Yeah.
so like, like I'm your homie, but I'm not your homie like that. Like I'm a lady. Like you gotta handle me with a little care. Like yeah, we can slap fives and watch the game together, or whatever. Yeah, yeah, but you can't push me that hard. Like it's like chill, bro. We like relax just a little
Yeah.
bit. So what's the most rewarding part about being married? And I want Curtis to answer this question because a lot of times a
Mm.
lot of men will say marriage is something for women. Like, I don't know any person that's married that'd be like, oh, I love being married. I love marriage. I love this, that, and the third. Like, there's not too many men that are champion being married. So I want Curtis to tell me about what's the most rewarding part of you two's marriage. What's the most rewarding part?
I mean, like, marriage is not all like peaches and cream. Like, so if people think that, that's not it. Like, I think the most rewarding piece of it is that we are able to like spend our lives together. Like, I want to wake up every day and see Latanya next to me. Like that
Mm,
that is the mother of my children. Like, like just the feeling that I have, like my friend, we can hang out. I could be myself, I could be
Yeah.
goofy. Um, like just the weird stuff that I do. She understands the jokes that I make. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a connection that we have. So before all of this, we was cool. We was
Yeah.
friends. So it's like I can't see myself not being next to her, waking up with her. I think that's the most rewarding piece. Is like, yo, this is my dream girl. Like for real. Like before we ever got married, this was
nice.
like I
Come
would
on,
look at
Good
Curtis.
her
job,
like,
Kurt. Good
yo,
job, Kurt. That boy good. That boy
nah,
good.
that before we even got together, I used to be like, yo, like I admired her. You know what I'm saying? Like her strength, her story, just knowing her as a friend, just knowing how much she's been through and like how she's endured. Like that, I think us being together is the most rewarding piece. Like us being able to build together, I think is, you know, my answer.
Curtis, that was good, Curtis. That was
Mhm.
really good. Why do you think so many men struggle with the idea of marriage, though? I mean, either one of you guys could answer that. Because a lot
um,
of us aren't getting married.
I think for me, and it's not just men these days, it's just people. I feel like um my brother at our wedding, he said it very plain. He was like, you guys made a decision and you did what you said you were going to do, stick with it. And it was very simple, but I feel like it's powerful. I think that people are just afraid of commitment. So, it's like all of the unknowns, like, oh, if you get married, but what if something goes wrong? And it's like, okay, yeah, you could walk outside and get hit by a bus, but you don't walk around
Mhm.
in fear every day. So I just feel like it's just the fear of the unknown and, really being scared of commitment, and not that they don't want to necessarily commit to a person.
I see it, but only trying to
not necessarily commit to a, but just the idea of marriage, because people talk about divorce rates and, you know, who sister, mother, brother, cousin got a divorce and who went through what. And, you know, I think from the beginning, we were just like, you know, in spite of all of that, we want to make our own rules and build our own story. So, you know, if you, everybody's foundation is a bit different, you know, but that's how I would answer that question. I think it's just the fear of the unknown and being afraid of commitment. What would you say?
I mean, I think, you know, a lot of times people think there's always something better.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
You know, like, is this the person? Is there another person out there for me?
So sidebar, when you're young, there's nothing wrong with dating. You know, get your Lori Harvey on. You know, because hey, because when you get to that point, that's one thing that we both said. In the time that we were apart, we dated, we had relationships, and I think that's a big part of when we got together. We didn't really feel like we were missing out on anything, right? He had his fun, I had my fun. It was like, okay, so now what we doing? So I'm sorry to cut you off. It's important, I think, to not have that feeling of, oh, I'm missing out. I think that there could be somebody better, because there's always going to be somebody that, you know, maybe more handsome, maybe, you know, prettier, whatever. But what does that mean?
You ain't gonna get nobody better than me.
Okay.
So, I feel you. I'm with you on that.
It's funny that you say that, because I had like a little post that I wrote, and like a couple of people had DM'd me. I was like, Simone, just at me next time. I was like, you know, shame on you if you spent your whole 20s with one person. Like, I'm sorry, like, if you spent your entire 20s with one person and you didn't get a chance to experience it. And it doesn't mean that you have to hop from person to person. I mean, you could have dedicated your time to just yourself, just getting to know who you are, just doing what it is that you need to do for yourself. Because honestly, I didn't devote my 20s to one person at all. Like, I was just doing my own thing.
Right.
But then I also became a mother very early on as well. So that kind of really stopped it short. But like, you see all these people that are really trying to live their lives mid-30s, 40s, and 50s, and it's really just like, I don't know if you missed your window, but it just doesn't, it's not received very well past a certain point in your life. Like, I don't know how to take this. I mean, I can see like married, kids away, husband and wife living their life. Like, you know, these kids is out of here now. We could live. Like, I can see you two, like, living you guys' lives once, you know, you kids is in college. You know, y'all just in your honeymoon phase again. But I don't know how I feel about a 50-year-old single woman just trying to mix and mingle with the younger kids. This is not received well for me, you know, and I don't want to get bashed. So somebody can be in the comment section like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, yeah, you have to.
So start with Lathanya. What is something that you have learned yourself from Curtis?
If you let Curtis tell it, I don't want to say that he says that I'm too forgiving, but he's just like, you definitely are a giver. And maybe, you know, prior to getting with him, I didn't necessarily realize that, and maybe didn't treat myself as good as I could have. So I didn't take a lot of what I was doing for, you know, loved ones and friends as a sacrifice. I thought that that's just, you know, what you do. And so he kind of highlighted that, you know, I'm definitely somebody that's willing to sacrifice and go all out for the people that I care for. And I didn't look at it in that way prior to us getting together.
I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing I learned from Lathanya is like kind of the opposite. So learning from her how to be forgiving of people, because like I said, I'm quick to not speak to somebody. Like, if you did something to me, like, I don't want to talk to you no more. I don't want to see you. Yeah. You could not exist in my world no more. And I was really bad about that. And she was the one that kind of like, hey, you need to talk to this person. Life is short. Holding grudges takes a lot of energy, you know. And I kind of opened up from that a lot more and built on my skills, because like before, again, like I said, I was closed up. You can't ask me nothing. Don't tell me nothing. I don't want to hear it. Like, whatever. whatever, you know. And now I've opened up more. I think that was like a defense mechanism for me, so that I don't feel hurt, or I don't show that I'm hurt, or I'm feeling any type of feeling, disappointed. Whatever the feeling is, it was easier for me to just shut down versus like, nah, that made me feel like this, or, you know, kind of expressing it more, which I think is better in the long run for me, just for mental health and everything else, like getting those feelings out.
Right. It's funny that you say that, Craig. I think New Yorkers just have a really high defense mechanism. I honestly believe that. Like, there's something about being from New York. You're on guard. Like, you can't, like, I'm on guard all the time. I said, is it because I ride the train? Like, what is going on with me? Why am I so, like, defensive? Like, if I see somebody running by me right now, I'm gonna grab my bag. I'm gonna make sure this person is still in my pocketbook. Like, if somebody run past me fast, I gotta check and make sure I got everything still on me. Like, that's just the way my brain works. Like, I just, like, I don't know. Like, it could be PTSD. Being a New Yorker is rough. I remember one of my therapists said that. He was like, something about New York make you feel like you're not doing enough, and it drives you insane, and it creates these like issues within yourself, and like all the time, like I'm on guard all the time. Like, nah, that's like, I don't like that. I don't like how that came out. What you think that really mean? Like, I'm overthinking, defensive, and I don't know what. I'm like, And it's funny that you guys say that, because I often feel like I wish I could be like G. G is a sweetheart, and he'd be like, no, it's okay. And then it's like me, I'd be like, no, they dead. Everybody died. We had a funeral. I make macaroni and cheese. My friends brought the soda. Everybody died. Like, it was a small funeral. It was a small funeral, but it's over and they dead. They dead to me. So how is it working together? Because you guys live together. You guys work together. You guys building this like this empire out there in Atlanta. I can't wait till Atlanta clear out so I can come down there and visit and not be scared. I need to come get the vaccine down there, child.
We're still navigating that, and our business continues to grow, our responsibilities continue to grow. For me, it's tricky because I may just want to just sit and catch up on Real Housewives or something, and he come with spreadsheets and stuff and wanting to look, and I'm not, the transition. It's like, okay, wait, no, I don't. I'm watching my show. I don't want to do that right now. So I would say that's probably the most difficult part, is just finding that work-life balance, right? Because our business is our life. We're growing, we're stretching ourselves and do some different things. But overall, it's good. We communicate very differently. So again, just making sure that we level set and we're on the same page with what's going on. But I think we're making it work. We're making it work. But it's just that transition time.
But why real estate in particular? Why did you guys get into real estate in particular? Because I remember Curtis said, like, he came to Atlanta for a girl who happens to be you, his wife. So, like, what was why real estate out of all the different industries?
So, you want to start? Or you want me to go?
I mean, well, I can go. Lathanya was in the real estate industry already.
I brought him in. I trained him up. No, let me stop. But no, I was in real estate first. When I first moved, so I work in the healthcare industry, in the corporate world. But when I first moved here to Atlanta, I fell into property management. And then, got the real estate bug, and I got licensed. I've been licensed now for like 15 years. So when he and I got together, it was like, okay, I've already dipped my toe in the water and, working in real estate. And I can remember even when we first, started talking and becoming friends as kids, he always had an interest in real estate. And so once he made the decision to come here, it was just right time, right opportunity. And it was something that we sat and we kind of like build out a plan and said, this is what we want to do. So it was just an easy decision for us to go into real estate.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's something that we genuinely have a love for, all in general. So it was an easy transition to make that a business, because it's already a business and we have a love or a passion for real estate. So it kind of worked.
I got you. So how important with your two sons is it for you to leave a legacy for them behind?
We were just talking
Listen,
about that today.
yeah, listen. These boys are coming up so different than we did. It's super important. You know, as you guys know, when you become a parent, it's like the best thing, but the scariest thing, right? And it's like
Hmm.
I'm trying to ensure that they're set up. You know, hopefully we live a long life, but we're not going to be here forever, and so
Right.
you have to ensure that you're setting up something for your kids, especially, you know, they didn't ask to be here, but we planned for them, we've prepped for them. You know, both of us waited to have kids and get married and, you know, do it in our way. So it's very important every day when, you know, because I'm like, I could, you know, sit around and want to be a bum and not do much.
Yeah.
But it's you're thinking it's something so much bigger outside of yourself and wanting to make sure that they want for nothing. So it's top priority in everything that we do. And you know, the goal is not just money. You know, money comes along with our endeavors and the ambition that we have, but it really is just thinking about those two boys.
Yeah. I think to
Mhm.
add to that, I think like because it gets very difficult at times. Like earlier today, we were able to
Yeah,
have a long conversation because we had some time. She had some things that freed her up. I had some things that freed me up, and we just sat there and talked. Like we don't even get to do that a lot of times.
yeah,
And we had a long conversation about it, and it was like, yo, like I'm stressed, she's stressed. Like we could just not do anything at all, and we will be okay.
right.
But why are we even doing any of this? Like we could just sit and chill. But the real reason boils down to those two boys. Like at the end of the day, those two boys, we want them to be further along than we are. Our parents came from their countries to this
Right.
country, had us. So it's our responsibility to take that opportunity and push that even further. And their responsibility to push that even further, and so on and so forth. So the legacy is huge for us. Like just teaching them like this all didn't come for free. Like all of this,
Yeah, yeah.
Blood, sweat,
yeah,
and tears, boy.
yeah. So
I hear that.
So, Latanya, name 5 things that you love about Curtis. That you love.
A whole
you
five?
sure
No,
you
I'm
gonna get
just
some five?
Whole five. Top five. Top five. Give me five. Give me five.
Yeah.
Give me five.
no. Let me stop. Let me stop. No. One thing about Curtis, he loves to see people win. You know, his friends, family, loved ones, somebody he can just meet off the street. He really is a person that cares about people. And it's funny because people be like, Curtis, little Curtis, what? Yeah, you know, they think, you know, they're thinking about the old Curtis, but he has really grown into, you know, a really, really supportive man. So I really love that he loves to see people win, and is rooting for people and doesn't mind, you know, going out of his way to help people along the way if he's in a position to do so, whether it's
Right.
information, you know, however he can help. That's one. I love his relationship with his mother, and his grandmother. You know, my mother-in-law, I love her. She is the best. You hear all these horror stories about in-laws, and we have a good setup. But the way that he loves his mom and his grandmother, it is something that I really love about him, and he takes care of them. He's very caring. Curtis is the only child. So you know, it's good to see that relationship. um I would have to say too, I really love how he's naturally, you don't hear, when you hear about a man, you don't really hear nurturing and
Mm-hmm.
and you more so hear those attributes for like a woman. And
Right.
you know, in the time that we've been together, the way that he's cared for me, and then since we've had kids, like he's a natural at it. I can remember because he's an only child, he never was around. He's like, you know, am I gonna know how to like change the baby, wash the baby, like, you know, and I'm like, you'll figure it out. You'll, you know, but that came very, very natural. for him, and he goes out of his way to make sure that we're good. He loves to cook, whether he's cooking for us. He don't keep house like I do, but he tries. But he's a nurturing and a caring person. What was that? 3, 4, 4, 4. Oh, ambition.
That's key.
Listen, and it causes friction sometimes because he's always gonna come to me literally every other week with some idea, with some new business plan, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. It's too much. But on the flip side, he could be just hanging around all day doing a bunch of nothing. So Curtis does not lack ambition. He gonna think of something to do. And if the last thing I love about him, and kind of selfishly, but he's like my biggest cheerleader.
Wow.
Anything that I've ever wanted to do with our business or with career, even if it took me away from home and I had to travel and be gone, even after we had Landon, he's like, if you want to do it, you could do it. Like, do it. You want to treat yourself to something. But he always is a cheerleader for me and what I want to do and making sure that I'm good. So that it's kind of a selfish, I love that about him, but that.
I'm so proud of Curtis. You have no idea. I'm so proud of Curtis. That's why I always say, adopt me so I could come down there and see a house all lit up in the Christmas time. So I could come to the big mansion. Please, you have and don't get me wrong, Curtis was just cousin Curtis. That's
right.
who he is. That's all we knew him as is cousin Curtis. Curtis came to that school, he went there. People know Curtis, and he was never even enrolled in Morgan. He's just an honorary bear. He's an honorary bear. Yeah, but he just showed up. Homecomings, he would be there. If I go to homecoming, Curtis not coming, Dad. He's like, nah, he got this, that, and this. I'm like, Dad, we are adults, and we do have priorities and responsibilities now. That's the sucky part about being an adult. We can't just drop everything and go.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So Curtis, give me 5 things that you love about Lathanya. 5.
So, first and foremost, I would say is I love the fact that she is very level-headed. She is not gonna make a rash decision. She's gonna think things through, and that kind of balances out that thing that she talked about, where I come with all these crazy ideas. She's like, "Well, did you think about this? What about us? What about the kids?
Let me see the business plan."
She's kind of very organized. So that is a good attribute and what I love, because it slows me down a lot and gets me to thinking about things that I might have missed, like blind spots. I love how she cares for our boys. I love the fact that she is my children's mom. She is able to bring a whole new dimension out of her. We were together alone before kids. It's just a whole different her caring for the boys. If I'm saying something to Landon and she's like, hey, hey, or Lance, so I can appreciate that. I love that about her, because it's good to see that. I have a strong connection with my mom, and I can see that with her and the boys as well. What else? I love the fact. So that's what. The fact that people might not know, but she's a little OCD. I don't try to diagnose you, but she's a little OCD. But I like that. I love that, because I'm not the best at keeping house. So
cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yeah,
okay?
hey, love it. I love the fact that Lathanya doesn't want me to be this other person. She loves me for me. I'm crazy. I'm this and that. She knew me in those times way before this Curtis that you see in front of you. So she knows me through and through. So I love the fact that she accepts me for who I am. And lastly, I love the fact that she's my friend at the end of the day. We can joke, we can, whatever. We can be transparent with each other. she knows my story, I know her story, and at the end of the day, we've accepted each other as is, and we're able to build together. So I love the fact that she's my friend first before anything. Yeah.
You got one more. That was 4. I was
That was
counting.
five.
Oh man, I
That was
thought that
That
was
was
five.
5.
4. That was 4. You tried to bottle it up. You got one more.
You got
You got one more,
you got to
Curtis.
think about something.
Let me see.
You got one more.
I know you can find
Ah,
Okay. I love the fact that she's a boss in her own right. Before
Yes.
before we even came together in our building, what we were building, she was a boss in her own right, and we were able to build on our own before even coming together to do this thing together. So I love the fact that her business acumen, all of that type of stuff, she has that on her own. Like so, I love that as well. That's 5, man.
That was 5. That was 5.
Uh,
So what's next for Curtis and Lathanya? What's next for you guys?
Oh boy.
we was talking about that earlier. Um,
Y'all had a good talk.
there's a
Y'all
yeah,
did
that was a
talk
good
earlier.
time. They had some time. They really had some time.
that was some good time. So we have a project on the horizon. I don't really talk about it yet, but it's
Okay, so we're gonna be tuned in.
yeah, a big project on the horizon that we're trying to lock in and see if we're going to do or not. But if we do, it's a big, huge project. Outside of that, we're continuing to expand. So we're going to start bringing in some more people into the fold.
Yeah.
We're bringing in more buyers, agents, transaction coordinators because
Business is good.
yeah,
It's and we're thankful for that because with COVID that changed a lot for a lot of people, and we're at a point where we have to bring additional people underneath us because there's just not enough hours in the day to manage thankfully the business that is coming in, which is a good problem to have, right? So
Right.
so that's on the immediate future. Past that, build up our portfolio of investments. I'm gonna be retired from the military soon. That's the other thing. So I would have at that
yeah.
point. So in about 2 years, I'll be my obligation will be completely done, and I'll be retired and have more. So yeah.
Stay tuned.
You're the
Stay
only
tuned.
person I know in the Air Force. You're the only person I know. You're the only person I haven't met in the Air Force. I've never met anybody else in the Air Force, like
That'd
ever.
be hard,
Ever.
hard to be in the air.
Ever. So I need you guys to give advice. Advice to the married couples and advice to the single people on here. Like, again, COVID has put a strain on a lot of relationships right now. People are in the house together, people are butting heads, people are lonely by themselves, going through this whole pandemic alone. So one advice and you guys can flip it. One can do one and one can do the other, or you guys can both say something. So something for the singles and something for the married.
I'm gonna. Mine is a dual advice. Whether you're single, and you said it earlier, Simone, or whether you're married, because even though we're married and he loves me, Curtis is not responsible for my happiness, right? That starts with me. He's my cheerleader, he's my supporter, and all that good stuff. But I think whether you're single or married, just find what your outlet is. Learn yourself. Learn what you do like, what you don't like. But make time for yourself. Really get to know yourself. And I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I have the boys. I have Curtis. But I really had to, just with the strain of having a baby, COVID and everything, I felt myself kind of slipping, and it was like, okay, wait, no. So just, find the things that make you happy and carve out that time. If you're, I know how it is. I always joke before, we got together, I dated and everything, but I had I worked, my career was awesome. And I come home and, cook my little lonely woman dinners and watch Sex in the City. And I loved it, right? But you got to have that time. So, it's hard by yourself, especially being so isolated. But just, think about the things that you like. Read a book, listen to music, get fit. We eating and gaining them COVID pounds. Like, get out, work out.
Drinking, eating
I
and drinking.
and that has been helpful to me. So just find whatever it is that centers you, that you enjoy, and get to learn yourself. So that's my dual advice for a single or married.
For me, for the single folks, I would say the biggest advice I could give is to like truly learn yourself. Take time. Like a lot of people, they'll get into a relationship, then they'll break up, then they'll jump back into another relationship. I say, take time, to learn yourself fully. Know what you want, what you don't want. I think that was important too, is to be ready once you do meet this person that will eventually come along, that you're your best self, the best self that you could be, individually, mentally, spiritually, just everything. And then once that person comes along, you're not like this toxic person. And then for the married folks, I say, communication, I feel like, and is the biggest thing, that I'm learning. And then I'm still learning as we go. So, for us, check in on your partner. Like I, our first son, postpartum was cool. It was no big deal.
I
Normal
right
person, jump right in. She, a week later, she trying to get back to her regular 1-2. With Lance, it was completely different.
Second baby took you under, Lathanya. I know. I was 1 under 2. It's all right. Baby took me down.
Like,
Great took me down.
Who is this girl? Like, what's going on? And we still going through that.
Yeah.
To be transparent, I'm still learning. Like, yo, Latanya's not her 100% self right now.
Nope.
And I'm like, yo, you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, yo, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. And I'm understanding that it's no big deal to me. I could move forward like that. But for her, it's different. Hormones is going on. So I'm like learning, because we didn't deal with that with Landon. With this baby, like a completely different thing. So just to be transparent, like check on your partner. COVID, I think, along with the baby at the same time, is like we in the house. Things. It's a lot. So just check on your partner. Do things outside of social media and TV, like where y'all could talk, connect, play board game or something. My thing is like Monopoly now, like playing that.
That's good. I hear that.
That's good. Oh God. And all the time you're gonna get through this, girl. I'm telling you, I'm a little bit out the water with Gray, but it was rough. I think any baby you have past 30 is gonna take you under. Right. It's gonna take you under. I think that's what it is. People say postpartum. I had my first daughter at 24, and I was back outside pushing my stroller, like, okay, I'm back out here. Y'all see me? Great. I was like, oh God, please, Lord, this baby is still crying. He's almost 2. Gray whine and fuss all day. They said if you had the second baby first, you would have never had a second baby. I swear to you. Gray is tearing up this house. My house don't look the same way it was before he got here. My house is all over the place because Gray is tearing up this house. That second baby will take you under. I don't know how these women be having all these kids and be dysfunctional like that.
Everybody be like, yo, when y'all having the girl, what's up with the girl? We like,
no. Postpartum feel like you're drowning but walking in water. Like it's like in your nose, like you can't drown, but you can't breathe at the same time. You feel like you're drowning and walking at the same time. It's like everything. You don't want to hear the baby cry. You don't want to hear this. You want this baby. Like, just get the baby. Just get the baby. Girl. And now working from home with the same crazy baby. Y'all keep me in prayer too, please. Y'all keep me in prayer. But I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. Thank you. This is our last.
I appreciate it. Double date. I love the double date.
This is our last episode.
Oh man,
I love the double date, especially when the other couple ain't arguing. You know how that get weird. Y'all just be sitting there at each other like, yo. Hey, I love you. I don't want these issues.
Oh, no, what's going on over there?
You know how that go.
I'm happy that you actually came on and did this with me. This is a lot of work. What you mean, why? Yeah, okay. Don't show out for these people now. Don't show out. Please don't show out. I'm happy that he said yes. He was like, okay. I was like, okay, ain't no pushback. Ain't no pushback.
There was no resistance.
Yeah, because I joked him out, God. But thank you guys so much. I guess
thank you.
On the next big project that you guys are doing. I mean, I love to see
you in the Atlanta metro area, surrounding counties, go see the Lancaster group for a home.
Hello.
You
Y'all
know what
better
I'm
go
saying?
ahead
You
and
need
hit them up.
brokers. You need we got. They got everything. One
We
stop
got
shop.
merch. She got
You know
merch.
what
Don't
I'm saying?
forget about the
Oh, you
merch.
got the
She
merch.
got merch. She
One
got all
stop
of
shop.
that.
If you like wine, hit up Bent Wine Co. Let's go.
It's
Come
fun.
on.
Thank you guys.
All right, have a good
Thank
one.
you guys so much. Thank you guys. Good
Nice
night,
meeting y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Mhm.